But daddy is a state of mind, you know what I'm saying? I'm your daddy.
Let's go.
Get up on y'all. You gonna learn today.
Daddy, chill.
Call me daddy.
We're back. We are live. We are live. Who's that? We have an interesting show for you today. It's kind of thrown together last minute, but who cares? Before we get into our guest, I want to talk about a few things. Just on the surface of the hobby. Panini and Fanatics suing each other back and forth. That's fun. That's cute. I think it's just like a big dick contest. This is a good time to be alive. And I say that for like the hobby reasons. Good time to be alive. The summer lulls are speeding back up. We're fucking getting football season. We got games starting tomorrow. I was called a douchebag with a mic. What a time to be alive. That's my new nickname, is a douchebag with a mic. I guess some people just don't like it when the truth's being told on certain things. So, but anyways, besides the point, today we have a guest, our second guest of all time. No, third guest. He's with me now. Casebreakz, give it to us. Give us the intro. Give us the background. Talk about who you are, what you do, and we'll get into some other fun, interesting topics.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate you having me. I know we talked about it for a while now, and I'm super excited to be here. Super excited about your success and awesome stuff that you're doing, man. So I'm Casebreakz out of Phoenix, Arizona, and I run F1 hobby breaks primarily on Whatnot. Yeah, I've been doing it for about 2 years now. And like you said, man, there's a lot of things that I learned in 2 years. And a lot of things that I didn't know coming from my background that made this a rewarding and learning experience for sure.
What did you do before getting into breaking and the hobby?
So I was a police officer for 12 years, police sergeant at a major U.S. City police department. And I gave it all up and left to rip cards.
That's awesome, though. I mean, listen, back to blue out there, all right? I have two family members that are police officers, or they were correctional officers, which is even crazier. I've heard some wild stories. Talk about, I want to talk about some things with you, with what's going on in the hobby, the direction of the hobby. How do you see the hobby being projected in the next 5 years? I want to get into some of those things. But the first thing I want to talk about with you is something that happened to you on a platform that was pretty wild. I mean, the Whatnot thing with the pack and the cards. Talk about that. I want you to just describe that story, because I think it's important for people to hear, and how not all scammers are getting banned from platforms, right? You're talking about something that you had no control of, but it happened to you, and you've probably hurt for a few weeks while you were not on the platform.
Right, more than a few weeks for sure. So the situation that you're talking about is, like I said before, I do Formula One breaks, which are made by Topps. So Topps has now going through the process of what happened and learning more than surface level things, is that Topps Chrome Formula One is made in Italy. Topps Chrome Sapphire is made in the great state of Texas by third third party printing companies. But basically what happened to me was I do Casebreakz. I was doing a case break of 2022 Topps Chrome Formula One Sapphire Edition, which is a 10-box thing. It was a sealed case. I was ripping through it probably halfway through the break. In one of the boxes, it was sealed boxes. They all had wrappers. I got the cases from Blowout Cards, where I get a lot of my product. And we pulled a mosaic. So where the way that Formula One Sapphire works is the second card in the in the pack is always going to be the hit in half of the packs. In that place, we pulled a mosaic NBA card. Before this happened, I would have said the same thing, like, how is that even possible? It didn't make any sense to me. But the hobby, the F1 community hobby, always thought that all of F1 products were made and printed in Italy, which is not actually the case.
Now, hold on. Did when you opened that, I remember seeing the video, but were people in there like right away saying, "Oh, you're scamming. Oh, this is bullshit. You know, this is repacked." Because some people do. They'll say it jokingly, like if we open a box of Bowman, and we only get 2 autos in a box, people go, "Oh, this is repacked DR," and I'm like, yeah, shut the fuck up. You know. So did anybody say that in the beginning?
So you could just tell, like, the feeling in the room. There was probably like 50 people in the room at that time. You could definitely, there was some comments in the live that were concerning. And at the time, I was part of a Discord, an F1 Discord, and that immediately started blowing up. Like, did you see what Case pulled? Like, he has to be repacking. How could he pull an NBA card out of an F1 box? And like I said, my initial reaction was, I don't know how that's possible. Like, even when I did it, if you watch the video, I was like, I have no idea how this is possible. And
first of all, listen, if you're going to go to the lengths, because I know the profit margins on F1 Sapphire, they ain't fucking there, okay? If you're going to go to the lengths to reseal a case and reseal all the boxes and do, that ain't worth it. Like, let's be honest. Like, the profit margins are not there. And we've seen other things. It's happened on the Panini side where someone's opening Panini and a Topps card gets in there. So it happens. It's happened before. But I think the disturbing thing about it was the whatnot is the actions they took. And it was just like, oh, right away, like, you're done. You're done, right?
Yeah, that happened on that evening. And when I woke up the next morning to go package, I couldn't even access my account. And nobody communicated with me whatsoever. I didn't get an email that said, hey, we're investigating this. Hey, we understand. No call, no nothing. It was, I just couldn't even sign into my account. I actually had to reach out to them about it. And then they sent me an email with the labels, but they were like, yeah, you're under investigation for selling fraudulent material or fraudulent product. And I was like, oh my God.
Now listen, there are people that would probably do that, you know, not on a sealed case. I don't think someone was going to go to the length to do it on a sealed case. But I just think it's a shame because it goes back to a lot of the things that I've talked about with whatnot. And I hate to beat them a ton because, you know, I've had my differences with them. But I think that there's people on there currently doing egregious things that could have been looked at way before certain things unraveled. How long were you out of whatnot? Like how long did not make a sale on whatnot for this reason?
It was almost a month.
Oh my God. That's your livelihood. You're not you don't do Instagram anymore. Rarely you'll pop out on there just if it's a rare occasion that someone wants to run a Percy or something. You're not on Twitch. You're not on YouTube. You're not on Fanatics Live. You're not on Drip and Card Shop Live and all these things. There's a fucking laundry list of things now you could go live on. But that's detrimental to your business. So when they let you back on, so here's the question: when they let you back on the platform, do you go, hey, do you want to give me my money that I would have made in the last month now that I'm back on the platform and I'm a free man? What, you did your investigation? Does that even come up, or do you ask? Because I would immediately, if it was me, I'm going to them and I'm saying, I want 0% for a month because you took all this money basically out of my pocket, away from my family. You have a family. You have kids. You have 2 kids? 1 4-year-old. And it's bullshit because I know I have kids. And if someone told me you're not going to go live on Instagram for a month, that's everything. What am I going to do? I got to scramble. Were you scrambling?
So the initial, so me personally, with my background, obviously I've been in a lot of tight situations, high level stress incidents. So my body probably reacts a little differently than other people. But from a business standpoint, I've never been through anything like that. So, I mean, there was some concern, and my concern was that in speaking with Whatnot is they essentially said, hey, you're under investigation for this. And I said, well, there's video of it. And I tried to explain to them, as a cop, you can pretty much close cases with a video, right? Hey, the video shows this dude doing that. I don't need what else do I need? Right?
Yeah.
The video shows me opening sealed case, sealed boxes, sealed packs on camera. I don't control the contents. What do you want me to do? Whatnot eventually came back and said, you are guilty of selling fraudulent product based on, or no matter what happens, you are responsible for what happens on your stream. Even if it's completely out of your control, we got so many complaints about this happening that essentially we have to hold you responsible.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I go back, and this is not, guys, I'm not trying to bash Whatnot. I'm just trying to bring up a situation that when you have legitimate people on the platform that are being hurt with their business based on something that you have no control over, especially, it. We're both breakers. When I go to a show and I buy a case, I'm trusting that this guy got the case from the other guy who got the case from the fucking distro who got the case from Panini. We're all trusting that these cases are sealed and they're verified and nothing's going to happen. And yeah, there's instances. The other night I was ripping and the fucking 6 boxes were so bad and I have no control what's in that fucking case. I have no control. And I gave 2 boxes away in that break because I'm like, God, that break was so terrible. I'm going to throw these in. And that's a lot of the times that's stuff that just we naturally have to do. So, and like I said, it's not like the bashing side of the Whatnot. It's just, this is just to bring light of the things that can happen as to a breaker, and your income just gets destroyed for a month. And I know how that feels because PayPal took all that money from us back in the day where I was, and I don't know if this is what you were doing, but were you, I was reaching out to suppliers when this happened to us, and I was going, hey, will you front wax to us and I'll give you more money back, right? I'd be like, give me the case, I'll pay, when I give you the money back, instead of $6,500, I'm giving you $7,000 back just to save face and just to keep the live moving and just keep, were you sitting on wax? Were you able to sell wax off just to make save face for that month?
I had actually, it was a big order. I actually had a lot of product at the time. But I basically spoke with the people that are in my little circle as far as distribution and stuff. And I made them aware of what the situation was and that I was working with Whatnot to fix it. And they gave me a little reprieve as far as all right, we know you're going to be, and at the time I had no idea this was going to drag out for a month.
Yeah.
And a couple things that I'll add to that is, like you said, even more than money, it's and this comes from my law enforcement background, is like, by them suspending me, it's essentially saying, but like I was guilty before they even did the investigation, right? So it already hurts my reputation by them taking me off the app. Like everybody, like I said, I was in Discord, like, oh, cases banned from Whatnot. Like, what would that say to a buyer? Like, well, why would they ban him if it wasn't true? You understand what I'm saying? So like, I was guilty by just having that happen and them not doing the investigation prior to a suspension. They just immediately suspended me, which told everybody like, oh, he must be guilty of resealing. And then the other thing I'll add is I did end up getting a little bit more stressed out about the situation as it dragged on, and I felt like I wasn't getting any kind of communication from Whatnot. After I like watched the video, like, I don't know what else you guys want me to do. Like, and like you said, like, I don't have time to open and reseal packs. And then why would I, even if it was possible, I don't break NBA cards. Why would I stick an NBA card in there? You could stick any F1 card in there and no one would know the difference. It makes no sense, right?
Yeah.
And then, so I started to become concerned because I was in like my third week of suspension, and the Mint card show was in Vegas. I live in Phoenix. It's like an hour flight. I had no intention of going to that event, but I saw Topps was going to be there. Fanatics was going to be there. I know I didn't do anything wrong. I jumped on a flight. I went out there. I went to the Topps booth. I said, who's the highest ranking Topps person here? And they said, an executive. I don't remember the name off the top of my head.
It's irrelevant. Yeah.
Huh?
I said that's irrelevant. Yeah.
Right.
The name. Yeah.
I pull him aside and I say, listen, are you aware of this situation? He goes, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. I said, this is what's happened. What light can you shed on this situation? He's like, number one, I can tell you, Sapphire isn't printed in Italy. It's printed in Dallas, Texas, at a third-party printing company that prints for Panini, that prints NFL, that prints all of these. So it's entirely possible that happened. Okay, I said, Whatnot has me on a suspension. They think that it's possible that I resealed these packs. He said, the production process with how the packs are sealed make them non-resealable. That's the whole point of it. So once those packs are opened, they can't be resealed. So I went to Whatnot with that information. I said, hey, listen, I talked to the highest ranking Topps rep here. Okay. Number one, he explained to me how this is possible. After I already had provided them, multiple people had sent me videos, like you said, in an email form or a DM, like, of this happening to other people, right? And a bunch of breakers reaching out to me saying, dude, I've seen this multiple times. I don't, and I told Whatnot, like, Topps is saying that they're not resealable, right? You can't reseal them. So obviously I already know I never did anything wrong, but like now Topps is saying, well, what you're saying that he did is not even possible. Their response was, you're still responsible for what happens in your stream, and the investigation's been completed. So you just need to serve your suspension and move on.
Yeah. Well, I hope they did something for you. I mean, I'm the type of person, it's like, okay, if you're going to ban me for a month, at least, give me a month's worth of 0% interest or 0%, fees, because the Whatnot fees are high. I'm at 12%. I know how it is. I get why some people are breaking at certain levels and how much, what the money that they're trying to get, because it is high. It's a lot. It's a lot of money to come off. When you do that live at the end and you see that $3,000 go down to $2,400, you're like, dude, it is concerning. What's your favorite F1 product to rip? Whether it's year, I mean, obviously it's very limited. You have Chrome, Sapphire, and Dynasty. That's pretty much it. What's your favorite year product to rip?
Oh, hands down, the best product is 2020 Sapphire. Topps Chrome Sapphire.
And you do a lot of that.
I have done a lot of it.
Yeah, I see. I watch the lives. Right. Why don't you think? And I'm not an F1 guy. I know that Jace, who's on the DR team, the guy's a F1 fucking nerd. You know, he wears his he wears that stupid Mercedes shirt everywhere he fucking goes. No, I'm just every time I'm like, dude, you have a different shirt. You're wearing the Mercedes shirt every day. Why does I get the craze with it. I also get it's hard because like you don't really see like it's not like baseball, football, and basketball where there's rookies every year and there's new players and new prospects and this is the chase. It's like Max and Louis. And Louis, Jace was trying to explain it to me, and maybe you could put it in a little bit better words, but he's like, Max has the best car. I'm like, how does someone have a best car? Like, why can't somebody have the same? Like, isn't it supposed to be an level playing field? Like, what is the difference?
No. So in F1, each team is responsible for the development of their own car within the regulations. So depending on the way you shape the body of the car, the different parts can be entirely different than other cars on the grid, as long as you stay in the regulations that are set by F1. So no cars are the same. Each team has two cars that are supposed to be identical. So the best way to in F1 to figure out who is the better driver is you really can only compare teammates because they drive the same car. But it isn't like in F1, there's the Constructors Championship, which is the team championship, which is what everyone is mainly concerned about at the team level. That's how the money is figured out. But at the driver level, and I get what everybody's talking about. Yes. So Red Bull has a significantly better car than everyone else.
Now, is that based off their engineers and their team and their because Jace brings up the fact that he's like, yeah, Max he's already racing for next year. I'm like, well, what the fuck are you talking about? He's racing for next year. He's like, well, he's already tweaking the car for next season because he's pretty much has this season in the bag. Do you think Max can win? Do you think he could just win, like, if barring any injury or something crazy? You think he could just keep winning every year, just with ease almost? Because he's winning by like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, right?
Right. And it's unfortunate for the sport because I think it's really driving a bunch of people away because he's literally won every race but two, and in those two races he finished second. So, and his teammate won those races. So, like, their car is so substantially so much better than everyone else's that the races a lot of times are over by like the second or third lap. 100%. I feel so when you're for F1, like now that Red Bull is essentially wrapped up this season and we're halfway through it, they can shift their focus to development of next year's car, where people who are still fighting for second, third, fourth, fifth in the Constructors' Cup are still have to have their primary focus on this year and making this year's car better, because there's massive pay decreases or increases based on where you finish in the Constructors' Championship.
And that's the team. That's the team
right.
championship,
so both
right?
Your drivers combined equals your constructors. So Red Bull has already shifted their focus to next year because it's a wrap for this year, and we're not even halfway through. So their development on next year's car is going to be significantly better at the beginning of the year next year, right? And then in 2026, they're going to change the car and the regulations again. But until we get there, and there'll be some introduction of Audis coming in, Cadillacs coming in with Mario Andretti. Until 2026, my guess would be Max Verstappen wins. He'll be at 6 in a row by then.
Jeez. Now, do you think we have F1 is made it to the States, like it's official, right? We have all these. What do we have? Is it Houston? Houston, right? I'm guessing, or is it Austin? It's Houston. Coming up in Austin. Austin in like what, 2 months?
I think October.
October. So Yeah, October, and then we have Vegas in November.
Yep.
So
and then
do
we
you
already had Miami.
do you think that's going to help the sport? And do you think that's going to like maybe bring some other people into your space as a breaker, like getting other people going, oh, I'll rip it? Because I've gotten other people like you saw on our channel when you came in, you're like, you're not the F1 guy. Get this off your table, you know? But I had a guy just go, hey, I'll rip a case. Because for people out there who don't understand, you could rip a case of F1 Sapphire for like, you could rip a full case for $3,500, maybe even less on 2022 Sapphire. It's a relatively good rip if you're willing to spend that kind of money and chances to hit like really nice cards, variations and colors and stuff. And Sapphire's always going to be a hit. It's one of my favorite products across the board. Doesn't matter what sport. But do you think with that like influx of people and all that the maybe bringing that the sport here, do you think that's going to help you as a breaker, like more people come in and rip?
Well, I think it's hard to say. What I think it comes down to is it's not necessarily like, yeah, it's going to bring more eyes to it, Vegas, but I mean, it's so expensive that it's really going to limit your average person going to the Vegas race, right? Do I think like, yeah, that event's going to be huge? Yes. I think what it really comes down to, and what I love about what Fanatics is doing is, and I know that we've talked about this, is, you know, there hasn't been any advertising, any promotion forever in sports cards or in the hobby, right? And they're going to change that. Now, I think what they really need to hammer is getting, Fanatics to advertise the hobby or at the Vegas race, because you're going to have just millions of eyes on that event. Do I think like if there's no mention of the sports cards, what does it do for breaking? I don't know.
Yeah, I want to get into that. So I want to pause that because I want to get your thoughts on the Fanatics thing. Last thing with the F1 stuff. Long-term investment-wise, does it hurt Lewis Hamilton's stock if he cannot get that top spot by the end of his career again? Like, you think that hurts? Like, everybody cares about Louis. Like, all of his cards still outsell Max, right? So does it hurt his stock if Max just keeps winning and he just is just there, third, second, fourth place? Does it hurt his stock at all?
I think in the near term, but in the long term, I mean, he's so beloved. He's Sir Lewis Hamilton. And he's a 7-time world driver champion, right? So he's considered by most people to be the GOAT, right? He'd be like the Tom Brady of F1. And people, I mean, the difference is Max has a terrible personality and the hobby in general does not like him, right? Yeah. Lewis Hamilton embraces people, right? He tries to bring people together. Not that I always agree with everything, but people love Lewis Hamilton, right? So yes, in the short term, when you look at like, current trajectory, yeah, it may hurt like him, like his card value in the neck, why he's still driving. But in the long term, I mean, he's like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Tom Brady. And I think that his cards will trend the same way that theirs do.
Yeah, I understand the Louis craze. Trust me. I had a buddy who linked up with a girl on Tinder because they were Mercedes Lewis Hamilton fans. And so not sure if he got anywhere with that one. But I want to talk about the Fanatics thing. What are your takes from what you've seen? They've really fucking come out guns blazing, especially in the last few months. They really showed a presence at the National. From what you see, do you think that they're going in the right direction? Do you think it's positive? And if there is a negative, like, what is that?
So my observations has been limited. Obviously, the app just kind of came out that I got early access to and checked out. I think we talked a little bit about, like, I really like some of the integration, like their wheel is a lot better. And and stuff. And one thing that I didn't even think about in that was that they're kind of like slow rolling it out, because what you don't want is like a bunch of breakers on there and they got one or two people in the room, because there's now 300 breaks going on at the same time, right?
Yeah, and maybe their network failed. You don't want like their network to crash if they got 50 breakers on there at one time and it fucking takes a nosedive.
Right. Competition is great, right? Just like right now, Whatnot has been almost like a standalone. You want to talk about like a monopoly? Like eBay's been in beta for what, 2 years? Still not.
Yeah, Card Shop is not there. Drip is not there. I mean, and listen, I got breaker friends on Drip and fucking good on them if they're doing well on there, because I've gone on there when I've seen like 4 people not even getting a total of 100 viewers in there. So it's a very like small niche breakers over there. I'm curious of how you think, because I have a different feel. I'm a little bit closer to it. Obviously, like my debut is tomorrow. I'm breaking it on here. Let's fucking go. Yeah. I'm so happy, man. I'm so happy. No, you know why I'm happy is because it's, and I don't even know who to attribute this to other than my wife, because a year, what are we in? What is today? August? So last year, January, February, my wife's like, you have to ramp up the content. You have to do TikToks. You have to do Instagram Reels. You have to do all this. She's like, you can't just break and that's it. She's like, you have to really show yourself. And she has been, listen, for anyone out there, Casebreakz can attest to this. Find yourself a fucking wife, a woman that's going to prop you up and push you and literally just keep doing this to you and not hold back, because I have to give all the credit to her when it comes to the content thing. And that's one of the things that got me recognized with Fanatics, which is wild because, as you know, I say crazy shit. I've said crazy shit. I got banned on TikTok for talking about Caitlyn Jenner. I got banned on Instagram for talking about Nancy Pelosi. And that's just the 2 of the 9 infractions that I've had. So I've said some crazy stuff. And the fact that I got noticed because of that, I was like, okay, they're cool. Like, they're cool with me doing and being myself. So that was like the first inclination that I had of Fanatics, where I was like, okay, this is, I think I like the direction they're going. They're not going to like suppress people and go, you can't say that. Nope. You can't do that. Nope. You got to be this and conform to a PG, style live. So that's the first and foremost thing. I think I'm going to go a little bit further on the things that you were saying with the F1 and how maybe they can integrate things. I hope when the F1 is in here at Austin and Vegas, I hope they start, you know what? I don't know who's the F1 guy on Fanatics right now. I don't think there really is someone that's ripping F1. But if there is at that time, maybe it's going to be you. I hope it's you. You know why? Because I've hung out with you. I know you're a family man. I know you're a good guy. We've been to dinner. We hung out at shows. But hopefully that person is, they go, hey, we're going to bring on Schumacher, right? Because he's a backup driver or whatever. What is he? The Max's Mercedes reserve. We're going to bring on Schumacher and we're going to have him live with you. And you're going to be opening and he could bring up stories and talk about this driver or talk about his fucking dad. What was his dad? The big dude? Yeah. Look at that. See, I don't know F1 guys. All right. But that's something that I hope they can start initiating. I loved what they did with the All-Star break and the home run derby, and they had people live and they brought on Freddie Freeman and Adley Rutschman and all these players. I think if they could correlate that to all sports, game fucking over. Game over. They're going to be able to bring the athlete to the cards and the breaker to the athlete, and you're going to have this sort of just whirlwind of, I don't even know what to call it, this just whirlwind of a community where everybody's being able to benefit off of the Fanatics thing. And And I don't even know where I was going with that. But anyways, that's something that's I think is important that they're doing now. And I know I talked about it when I first started. You know, Panini is suing Fanatics. Then Fanatics countersued. And I think it's just more of like Panini just wants them to know that we're still here. Hello, we're going to sue you just because we're still here. So,
the first thing that I'll add, Mike, is Fanatics. If you're listening, Casebreakz, Fanatics, Vegas, let's make it happen.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'll be there anyways.
I only know a couple people in the hobby that rip as much F1 as you and have as much knowledge or passion in that space. You're the F1 king, right?
That's what they say.
I mean, I'm the Bowman king, and I'll say it loud and proud because I'll put mine and Sleevy's knowledge up against anybody in the hobby. I don't care. I'll go toe to toe with anybody. I want to talk about some other things. How do you deal with life as a breaker, husband, father? I'm interested because I know how I deal with it, and I'm curious of how you handle it because a lot of people in our position, they're not dads. They don't have a family. They don't have a lot to lose. And I don't say that. I'm not saying that's like a blanket statement. I'm just saying there's a lot of people that are in their 20s that are single. They're just having a blast. They're ripping cards. They're spending a ton of money at shows. And for me now, I'm in this I'm actually in the daddy role now. I'm bringing on people on my team, and now I have to be that figure. Like, no, guys, we're gonna go to the show and we're gonna get work done. And I'm totally different now. It shows. I don't stay out late. So how do you deal with that as a dad, husband, and breaker at home all the time?
So to be honest with you, Mike, that's been one of the most difficult things. I mean, like I said, being a cop for 12 years, I had a very structured life. I worked 4 days a week. I knew my schedule didn't change unless I changed squads or something. So we knew when I had to work and when I didn't. And it has been a very challenging and eye-opening experience for not only or specifically for my married life and my dad life is when you give up a career to do this full time, it is very different than getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. You ride market trends up and down, and you aren't guaranteed anything, right? So even if you are live breaking, there's a lot of times where you don't even make money, right? And it was a very eye-opening experience for me. It was very challenging for us as far as, and that's one thing that I've tried to change is I had no schedule once I started breaking. It was just, I was breaking all the time. And like we've talked about before, I do this out of my house. I did the breaking, the packaging, the sorting. I did it all, right? And I ripped 5,000 boxes of 2021 Sapphire last year, mostly 1, 2, 3, 4 box breaks. And when you have to sort those style breaks, it just takes forever. And I had spent so much time, way more than 40 hours a week. When you add in, the time of breaking and then the behind the scenes unsexy things, right?
The behind the scenes things for everybody out there listening, it's at least 70% of our time is taken up. At least. I would say even sometimes it's longer. If I go live for 4 hours on a night, we're now spending 12 hours on the back end sorting, packaging, shipping, content, all that stuff, reordering, like all that stuff that nobody really cares about, nobody even talks about. That stuff takes up so much time, and that's why it is important. That's why I wanted to ask you that, because as a dad myself and a husband, it's so hard. I'm home but I'm not home. And I try to, like, it's so hard with this thing constantly going off and DMs and like, how do you deal with that? Because I try to deal with it because my whole thing is like, I want to be available. I want to be available for everybody. And I want that person, because I might be available to that person that breaks over on this other channel. And now because I'm available, he's going to come in my room and spend money with me. And I want to be that person. But at the same time, I don't want to be that guy like laying on the bed at fucking 4 o'clock in the morning answering a DM because a guy fucking asked me a question about a card, about what the comp is of a fucking card. It could wait, but I get like anxiety because I just want to be available to everybody in the hobby at all times.
And I've dealt with the same thing. It's the one thing that my wife and me, which has been like a big sticking point, is like presence, right? She would say, when you had a job, you did your job. When you were at work, you were busy, you were at your job, right? But when you got home, you weren't at your job and you were here, right? When you work, and this is something that I'm still processing and learning every day, is when you run your own business, specifically this breaker thing, it's about being present. So like you said, if you're posting breaks and stuff, there's constantly people DMing you with questions, or they want to take break spots and you need to go on and update the break sheet or whatever. And it's very easy to lose presence, right? So if you're with your family doing something and you're working stuff in the background, like she'll say, you work from home now, you're home all the time, but you're not present.
Yeah, you're there physically, just not mentally.
Right. And it's not even something that you recognize half the time. It's just, there's so much more to this business than just going live. Like the live portion of it, Mike, is such a small, minute portion of what it takes to run a successful breaking business.
And you're talking about, what do you have? 1-2 other people that help you?
No, well, I have my niece now helps me a little bit with sorting and packaging, but that was literally within the last 4 months.
Yeah, and you're talking about somebody who's just basically been running it by himself. Imagine those other companies. How much back end work those other Backyard and Pole Wax and Leighton and Blez and all the big dogs, what they're dealing with on a daily basis. You know, they probably have a warehouse to ship all their shit. So, yeah, no, I wanted to pick your brain on that because it's something that I deal with every week. And I catch myself at dinner with my, answering like spot 8. And I'm trying to like put it in. And then I'm like, fuck, man, I need to just put this down. Like it can wait. That person can wait their spot. But it's just, it's a very fine line. It's hard. It's very hard because it's in this day, like everybody wants things now and updated as fast as possible and questions answered. So
that's why there's so much mental health problems in the world right now. Because everything now, like you see things now, you want things now, you can get things now. And then all of a sudden, and like you said, and I don't know the answer to this, why we feel like you just said, like somebody DMs us, I feel obligated to immediately drop what I'm doing to answer them when it's really not that important.
Yeah, I agree. It almost gives me anxiety when I see that fucking number on the Instagram, that little notification. I go like, oh God, I got to fucking answer this. And it sucks because I can't control that. I can't control that I feel that way. So I just want to make sure, especially if it's somebody who's like, owes me money, So last but not least, we're at like 45 minutes. We're fucking going strong. Are you going to be, well, this is not last, but I'm going to like kind of random. Are you going to go any shows? Any shows coming up at all?
Probably not, only because the Vegas race was expensive and I just got back from nationals.
You're going to the race?
Vegas, yeah. Oh yeah. The F1 King's got to be
there. That's awesome.
That's what I'm saying. Fanatics, I'll be there, baby. Let's go.
Hey, Fanatics, if you're listening, I probably have a couple guys that are listening over there. Casebreakz does F1. He's going to be out there. Just, you know what? Just send him a case. He'll rip it right there on the track. Put him on the track right before the race. Hey, listen, I know this was last minute. It's thrown together, But every time I talk to you on the phone, it's pretty much its own little podcast. So that's how I want these to feel. I don't want them to feel scripted. I wrote down questions, but most of the questions I don't even get to because I just want it to be like a free form, back and forth, and wherever it goes, it goes. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you coming on. What is your favorite card you've ever pulled? Last question. Favorite card. Doesn't have to be the biggest. I think that's a cliche question. What's your favorite card you've ever pulled?
So my favorite card that I ever pulled was 2020 Optic, Joe Burrow, Black Pandora Auto, jersey number.
Auto? Jersey number? Black Pandora? Did it? Oh, my God. And that's on-card auto. On-card. And that's a good color match with the black and orange, huh? Oh, yeah. I will give my answer. My answer is the Dominique Wilkins Pump 1/1 card. There's no other card that I've pulled that's more iconic than that card. I think I gained like 2,000 followers from that card. No joke. Better. I got hundreds of DMs from that card. How much? Who has it? Can I buy it? And I pulled it for somebody who doesn't need the money. He doesn't care. He's like, if you don't know, Scrim pulled it. Scrim's like, $50K. Fuck him, you know? He's like, I'm not selling it. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's probably anywhere from $1,200 to $3,000 card realistically. No one's selling that card. So, all right. I appreciate you fucking coming on. Follow Casebreakz. He does breaks on whatnot. He's fucking really good at what he does. He's entertaining. He does a lot of F1. For all of you out there, I'll be wearing the daddy shirts at the Burbank show at the end of the month. We have a booth. I wish you could go. It'd be fun to meet up with you again because we didn't really get to do anything at the National. So, but until next time, will you come on again? Yeah. How about the next time? How about you come to the Dallas show in 3 months? Come to the Dallas show in 3 months and sit down in the chair right next to me. Then we can like tickle each other and we can have fun. All right. I appreciate you. Yeah. I'll talk to you guys later. Follow the podcast. Download the podcast. Share the podcast. I appreciate everyone listening. Until next time. Peace.